Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's City Planning Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor McManus.
Here.
Caprillion.
Here.
Alderperson Rosendich.
Here.
Wood.
Here.
Pinker. Here. Hockenich and Banks are absent.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 18th, 2020 meeting? Motion by Mr. Wood, second by Mr. Pinker. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. The others will do a roll call. Votes. Oh, okay. All right. Number 4, citizens' comments. Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Anyone from the public? Seeing no one, we will go on to item number 5, the conditional use request by Scott Shust to allow for an outdoor eating and drinking area, which is considered to be an outdoor commercial entertainment land use in the CMU commercial mixed-use zoning district located at 1707 North Central Avenue, parcel 33-03209B. Presenter Emmett Simkowski, associate planner.
Right, so the applicant is looking to continue a project they started earlier this year on the north side with some outdoor seating areas. There's recently been a certified survey on this parcel is split into 3 separate ones. The north one was the conditional use he had earlier the year, January. And the south one is subject parcel now. And then the one on the east side will be a stormwater detention pond. The site's located kind of south of Central and McMillan intersection. South of it is the Woodfield Inn property. And the majority of the site or in the area is all community mixed use. But to the east of it, you have some residential zoning parcels, but that's all 300 feet away from this proposed outdoor seating area. Okay, the outdoor seating area is located just south of the proposed coffee shop. It's indoor recreational commercial. It's outright permitted in the zoning district. The conditional use is for the outdoor seating area. This area will seat approximately 20 to 24 people, and it'll be fenced off with an iron fence going around it. The area will be open on the sidewalks. No music or speakers or anything are planned at this time, but the applicant said it's not out of the question. If any speakers are to be used, it'd be recommended that you can't hear any audible noises from the property lines. So the proposed site plan does meet all zoning requirements for outdoor commercial entertainment land use. All the zoning requirements for it are more for if there's a residential zoning district nearby for like setbacks for 50 feet and buffer yards. But seeing this is all commercial mixed use, the only extra requirement is parking. They are over the required parking standards, and on the site plan shows that they will be using that development future to the north where it's proposed. They will be using that as parking as well. Land use is compatible with the surrounding areas. They're all commercial mixed use. And then timeline, conditional use permits are required to start construction within 365 days of approval. The recommendation is to approve the conditional use request by Scott Shust to allow for an outdoor eating and drinking area, which is considered to be an outdoor commercial entertainment land use in the community mixed use zoning district. With the following conditions: the construction and operation of the outdoor eating and drinking area shall begin within 3 years of approval of this conditional use request by the Common Council. If outdoor speakers are to be used, no music or sound shall be audible from the property line of the subject parcel. Minor site plans and changes for the outdoor eating and drinking area may be approved administratively, provided they do not need additional exceptions from the zoning code or from any conditions approved with conditional use permit.
Thank you very much. This item does require public hearing. At this time, I'll open up the floor to members of the public who wish to address the commission regarding this request. Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Second call, anyone from the public? Final call, anyone from the public? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to approve to the commission. Motion by Mr. Rosendich, second by Mr. Pinker. Any discussion? Please, Mr. Pinker.
Emmett, normally it's a 1-year time span. Why is it a 3-year time span being requested?
Because with their previous one, they had COVID kind of stuff shut it down a little bit for what they're
Okay.
planning on doing. And just going off of what they requested before.
Okay.
Any further discussion from the commission? Seeing no further discussion then, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries unanimous. Number 6, rezoning request by Terry and Mary Luepke to rezone properties located at 3400 Frey Court, parcel 250-2602-264-1019, and parcel 250-2602-264-1018 from SR4 single-family residential to MR12 multifamily residential. Presented Bryce Hembrook.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor just mentioned, the applicant is requesting to rezone from single-family residential to MR12 multifamily residential. The properties are located in the northwest section of the city, and they are located along Veterans Parkway and Frey Court. The applicant intends to potentially look to sell the subject properties to a developer who is interested in building multifamily residential units. The plan is also to combine with the property to the north, as shown on the location map, which is also being requested for rezoning tonight as well after this item. Any multifamily development with 9 or more units or multiple buildings would require a conditional use, and thus the actual layout and the site plan for the multifamily development would be reviewed as part of that process at a later date. According to the future land use map, this area is located in the general commercial future land use district. And typically commercial and retail land uses are some of the land uses that would be appropriate in this district. However, multifamily and mixed use dwelling units would also be appropriate in this district as well. Although both properties have street frontage on Veterans Parkway, neither property would be allowed driveway access to Veterans Parkway, according to the city engineer. This makes the property less desirable for commercial development and difficult for single-family development. For a commercial development, they would have to, traffic would have to come from Frey Avenue to reach the site, which probably would not be desirable for a restaurant or retail. And then for a single family development, it is difficult because on the westernmost property, without access to Highway 13, they would basically not be able to develop as a single family because they would have no access. And then the easternmost property is rather large. So the highest and best use would likely not be a single family house. So if the rezoning is approved, the following land uses would be permitted by right. Single family, 2 flat, twin house, duplex, and then 3 to 4 units of a townhouse, apartment, or multiplex, and then small scale indoor institutional. Overall, this property is likely better suited for multifamily development, residential development, instead of single family residential or commercial development, mainly due to the location and the lack of access to Veterans Parkway, and because of the recommendations listed in the future land use map. Also, rezoning the properties would allow for a rezoning the properties to allow for multifamily residential also allows for flexibility for potential developers to provide some rental housing in a part of the city that doesn't really have, there's not many apartments in the northwest part of the city. So this would be an advantage. Also, once a developer would add infrastructure, this would also provide necessary infrastructure for future growth in the northwest section of town. So based on the comprehensive plan recommendations, the recommendation would be to approve the rezoning request by Terry and Mary Luepke to rezone the properties from SR4, single family residential, to MR12, multifamily residential, and to direct staff to prepare an ordinance for common council consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. This item also requires a public hearing. At this time, I'll open up the floor to members of the public who wish to address the commission regarding this request. Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Please, sir. Please use the podium and state your name and address for the record.
My name is John Moss. I work with Nicolay Lumber Company. They would be a general contractor on the construction of a project for Premier. I'd be happy to answer any questions. As always, the staff's assessment and analysis is very comprehensive, professional, and thorough. To give you a little history, this would be third project that I've been involved in the city of Marshfield for the same people that would be building this. We built one, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago on Heritage in 10. We built one recently that's just coming up for occupancy on North Hume Street. You know, we partnered with the city on those two projects to put in infrastructure and build those projects when the city had a great need for market rental housing. We're proposing basically the same thing here. This site's a lot simpler than the other two sites. As I understand it, only requires a small water main extension to provide service for it. In those other two projects, there was always city investment because there wasn't infrastructure there, and we shared in the cost. There wouldn't be any cost to the city for this development to utilize existing utilities. And there isn't a lot of development in the area that people were expecting to see developed else other than what we're proposing. Again, it's market rate rentals. If you had a chance to look at either of those two projects, you'd know the quality of the buildings, the quality of the landscaping. We built both of those projects without any requests of any variances or deviations from your zoning code for multifamily. So with that said, I mean, there's a lot of other things we could bring up. I mean, relative to the pluses for this site, but I'll leave those for later on. If you do choose to rezone it, I would undoubtedly be here, not as a pest, but during the conditional use permitting process and the site plan process as well. So if you have any questions now or in the future, Josh has my contact information. I'll give you business cards. You can contact me anytime you have a question relative to what's going on.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public, second call, wish to address please?
My name is Mary Luepke, and that is our property that is up for sale. What I did, we have been looking at this for at least 5 years when we were living out there. We just recently sold this probably about 3 years ago to Ron Wetterwick that purchased our home. Just to make sure that everyone felt comfortable. You're okay that I took this off a little bit, right? Okay. Anyway, to make sure that the neighbors out there felt comfortable with everything, I called and talked to each and every one of them. The only ones I didn't get a hold of was Draves, but I actually met with them and indicated what I was looking at doing because I had been working with Gary for the last 4 to 5 years. Anyway, I asked the neighbors if they had any concern. Their concern was just to make sure that it wasn't low-income housing, which it's not, it's upscale housing. And Gary addressed it in a letter. The other thing was that the neighbor that bought our property out there mows extra land onto the property that we own and wanted to make sure that he could continue mowing that. Gary indicated that he didn't have to mow it, that the management company would take care of that there'd be plenty of green land out there, or green, whatever they call it, greenway, that he wouldn't have to be responsible for it. And then, let's see once here. Oh, the garage out there, we've got already the electricity, we've got LP gas out there right now, but we could hook up the natural gas, but we elected to stay with the LP because Terry wasn't going to be using the garage that much out there. We do have the 200 amp service, so the electrical, everything is there. We do have a well there also. The neighbors were concerned about the well issue, that the water would come off Veterans, but it would come up Frey Road. And there would be I think it's 268 square feet that would have to connect to the city. But we take care of that. The city wouldn't have to be responsible for that. And then I assured the people that I would get a letter and some pictures to show them what it would be, that if they had any concerns to please tell me, or to get a hold of Bryce to list any concerns that they had, because I love them all out there. I mean, I wouldn't do anything behind somebody's back or anything else. I want them to feel comfortable and happy and proud that we've got something so beautiful coming to Marshfield. Because not too many people have the funds available that can build something like this, to do the landscaping, to put in the retention pond. I mean, to do it the way it should be done and to have it look so nice. And I thought it would just be something beautiful because it's just minutes away from the McMillan Wildlife Area that people could walk from that apartment to participate in either walking or biking through those trails where they can see the water and the wildlife. I mean, it's just simply a beautiful area out there that's just taken for granted. Anyway, and then it's just minutes away from the medical center. But I just wanted you to realize that I did share everything with my neighbors, along with the pictures of different projects that Gary and them had done in the past. And I know that I didn't have to be that in depth with it, but I wanted to be open and honest with the neighbors. And I had no negative. They were just had concerns about what it would look like, if there would be green area, if there would be nice roads that come in there, if they'd come in off Frey Avenue, which they wouldn't come in off 13. I mean, it's just reassuring people that things are done right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Final call during this public hearing. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll look for a motion to approve from the commission. A motion motion by Mr. Rosendich, second by Mr. Pinkert. Do you have your hand up? I didn't even see. I'll get you on the next one. Any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. All right. And item number 7, rezoning request by Michael and Judith Forst to rezone the southern portion of the property located to the west of Frey Avenue and Frey Court, to the north of West Veterans Parkway, parcel 250-2602-264-1024, from RH35 rural holding to MR12 multifamily residential. Please see map for the location. Presenter Bryce Hembrook.
Thank you, Mayor. So this request is very similar to the last one, but instead of rezoning from a single family district, they are rezoning from a agricultural district, essentially. The applicant intends to split the lot into 2 properties, and this rezoning is focused on the southern portion of the property as shown on the location map on the screen. The applicant intends to sell the property to a developer who is interested in building multifamily residential units. And the plan is to combine with the subject properties to the south, which were just recommended for approval for rezoning. Once again, any multifamily development with 9 or more units or multiple buildings would be reviewed through a conditional use permit. According to the future land use map, the subject property is located in the new neighborhood mixed use district. And this area is intended mainly for residential land uses. Multifamily residential is one of the recommended land uses district. And it is also mentioned that single-family residential and public open space should account for about 50% of the new neighborhood mixed-use district. So the striped yellow line shows the new neighborhood mixed-use district in the future land use map. It's a relatively small portion of the area that is being proposed to be rezoned, and not all of the property, it's not guaranteed that all the property would be used. So to allow for multifamily in this new neighborhood mixed-use district would be less than 50% of that entire area. The property is mainly surrounded by residential and agricultural land uses. If the rezoning is approved, the following land uses would be permitted by right: single family, 2 flat, twin house, duplex, townhouse, multiplex, apartments, 3 to 4 units, small scale indoor institutional. And then just to kind of go over the recommendations in the comprehensive plan, goal 4-3, subsection 5, listed to identify suitable areas for future multifamily development, areas of mixed housing stock and mixed dwelling units, and to rezone those areas to a zoning district that would allow for a greater density in order to reduce costs of infrastructure for expansion per housing unit. This is an area that city staff believes would be a good location for multifamily development and a potential mix of other residential land uses. And allowing for a greater density would allow for the reduction in cost for infrastructure expansion, which would be necessary in order to develop the northwest part of the city. So with that, staff would recommend to approve the rezoning request by Michael and Judith Forst to rezone the southern portion of the property from RH 35 to MR 12 multifamily residential, and to direct staff to prepare an ordinance for common council consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This item also requires a public hearing. At this time, I'll open up the floor to members of the public who wish to address the commission regarding this request. Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Second call. Final call. Anyone from the public wish to address the commission? Sure.
Okay, Mike Forst's willingness to add his property to make this possible, to make something beautiful for Marshfield, I think is commendable. He's been very good to work with, even prior to this project being, looked at. I mean, he helped take care of the land out there. He cared about the neighbors. He's a very good man, and he wants something good for the city too. So just thought I would mention that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and that was our final call. Seeing that there's no one else, we will close the public hearing. Entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Caprian. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Wood. Any discussion? Please.
What's the blue strip that runs through there in the picture? Is that just like a waterway or something that I'm seeing in the
Lower right-hand corner?
Yeah, on RH 35. Go back. You can't. There,
This
that.
one.
What
Yeah,
is
so that shows up as a stream on our GIS. I don't think that there is a stream. I guess would he be able to answer if there's a stream there? Mayor?
I'm Mike Forst. I farm that land with my son, or my son rents it from me. That's all open field now. That's all been worked out. For years, nobody worked the whole field, and now it's a complete field all the way beyond that.
Okay.
We redid the waterways so everything drains.
And sometimes on our GIS, a stream will show if you go out there, it's not there. So
Yeah, I was just curious.
it could be a mapping.
It was never discussed, and I didn't see anything in the notes, so I just was curious what it was.
At this point, there's nothing there, but
Okay.
at one point there was, a couple years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries unanimously. Item 8, any items for future agendas? Josh.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Pinker asked last time to have Mackey and Main Street come to a meeting. Reached out to both organizations, and they'll be here on October 20th. They did ask if there were any specific questions or anything that they could bring to the meeting to prepare ahead of time for. I think the original request was just kind of an update on how businesses are dealing with COVID and the pandemic. But while they're here, maybe there's other things you'd like to have them address.
Yeah, Josh, could you ask them to give us an update on, let's say, the quantitative aspects? How many business enterprises, especially in the downtown area, have closed and may remain closed forever? How many are perhaps on the verge of closing within the, say, 60, 90 days from when they're here? And what their projections would be for recovery.
Anything further there, Josh? Or?
Nope, that should be good. They may not be able to answer all that, but we'll certainly let them dig for it. So,
All right.
thank you.
Item 9, any staff update?
We have all our staff here for the first
All our
time in months,
staff.
so this is wonderful.
The crew? All right. Emmett, you did a great job. All right, with that then, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Frey, second by Mr. Wood. Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.